Welcome to the Overly Opinionated podcast. Rest in peace to fallen kings, queens, and in-betweens.
And free the guys.
Yep, free the guys for sure.
We got a touchy one today.
You know, you might call it a touchy one. But first, before we get to that, if things sound different today, the Overly Opinionated podcast is upgrading the technology that we use. We got some new equipment. So bear with us if it doesn't sound as crisp as you're used to it sounding. Congratulate us if it sounds even more crisp because we're trying to figure this out. So bear with us, please. On to the touchy one.
Police brutality.
Yeah, let's talk about some police brutality because it's rampant. It's happening.
At a crazy pace. And it's not to say they wasn't reckless before, but they are definitely reckless now.
Yeah, I can't say that it's more reckless than I'm used to seeing, though. And I actually think that's a bad thing. I think the fact that I see this and we are recording this episode, did it come out yesterday? We're recording this episode the day after I found out about, what's his name?
It started with T. Hold up. Tyre Nichols in Memphis.
You sure it's Tyre?
Tyre.
Got you. All right. So Tyre Nichols, we're recording this the day after I found out about the Tyre Nichols case, where these cops pulled over this young man and beat him mercilessly until, I guess, did they take him into custody? How did he get to the... Like, they took him into custody and ended up taking him to the hospital, right?
Right.
Where he ended up dying.
From his injuries, from the beating. On a routine traffic stop.
I hate to say that when I watch it, I'm not shocked anymore. Like, I'm not surprised. I'm hurt.
This one shocked me because... The George Floyd one, it was just like they didn't care. And then they weren't like beating him. They was just abusing their power in a lazy way, I should say. But this one, it was like he was getting jumped by like a literal gang. And I told you I had to turn the video off. That shit enraged me, bro.
You said you had to turn it off.
Yeah, I had to turn that shit off. Like, they was holding him while he's standing. Well, I ain't gonna say. They were keeping him up off the ground, punching him, hitting him with clubs and shit.
Insane.
For a fucking traffic stop.
It really doesn't matter what it's for.
Facts. Unless you call him raping the guy, but you're not supposed to do that, jesters, or raping something crazy like that on top of a kid. Okay, I give you that. You're a father. Your father instincts kicks in, you beat his ass. But on a traffic stop, that is crazy to me. And then they don't get paid to do that. That's not a part of your job. So there's not an excuse for it. And it's weird because they're all in jail right now.
Why's that weird?
Because for me, that's not enough.
Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Like, the legal process is doing what it's supposed to do right now, but for some reason, that still don't feel right.
Yeah, that's a regular occurrence for me, though. I feel like the way that our penal system works isn't adequate. Often. I often feel like it's not adequate.
So, have you thought about, like, what about this would make you feel good?
I don't think anything will make me feel good. I think that ship has sailed. Rest in peace to fallen kings. I think feeling good about this, that ship has sailed. I can feel like justice has been handed down. But again, as disappointing as it may sound, I don't bring an expectation of that any longer into these situations. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't have any hope for that happening.
Even if that did happen, it still bothers me because there's going to be a next case.
Of course.
Of course. Like, what you gonna do? give all these niggas a statue outside somewhere?
So we could spend the entire hour show talking about how crazy it is and how we disagree with what they did. I understand the value of stating it, but I don't think it's super valuable. We both completely agree. And I think anyone worth speaking to would completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Something where I feel overly opinionated is that the race aspect of police brutality, it hasn't been overblown. I want to state that up front, that it hasn't been overblown. I think racist white cops have gotten away with killing people, even especially minorities.
Right.
I think that's the case. But I think the race aspect has been overfocused. Not overblown. Not overstated, but overfocused. Just because I'm not convinced that it can change the minds of people who are in such denial that racism even exists. I don't think that we have a shot at making any substantial change by saying like these people are racist, just because the accusation of racism is literally, oh, that guy's racist. He treated me this way because he's racist.
All right.
And then the defense is, no, I'm not.
It's just a circle.
And it's a circle. You don't get you get nothing out of that. If we focus on the fact that there is a power structure set in, like, this is a real, like, it's law. Like, our government is allowed to murder us.
Right.
Our government is allowed to murder us.
And that's the bigger problem for you?
Bro, it's all I can think of. Bro, anytime I see a cop, anytime I hear about someone interacting with a cop, all I can think about is the fact that that person is allowed to murder us.
Yeah.
Like, dog, again, the race aspect is not overblown. There is a problem. Don't take me saying this as saying that there isn't a problem. But please hear me. It doesn't matter what you look like. They may not kill you if you don't look like me and Darian, but they can.
Right.
They can. It doesn't matter that they don't. They can. Like, they could easily get away with it. They could use these same tactics, and they have. They will. They do use these same tactics to kill any citizens.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
With this specific case, I think this is about to be a change for the future. And I say that because wasn't it all black cops who did this?
I think so. From what I saw.
I feel like I feel like white people is about to use these cops as the face of police brutality.
Yeah, I saw that comment yesterday on
that. I agree with that. Like, they about to take this and run with that.
I hate that.
And they're not going to bring up of the examples of the BLM protests of saying defund the police.
No, they'll bring it up. They'll bring it up. And this is why I brought up the race aspect at all. I sincerely see an outcome where there will be conflict here because there isn't as much publicity behind this incident so far.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't as much publicity as past situations.
Uh-huh.
And I've already seen people talking about how the reason for that is we don't care as much when it's black people.
You tripping.
The reason that they tripping is because they want to hide the fact, they want to use this as an example of how racism isn't the problem. And this is what I was talking about because when we first met, we had this conversation in a smaller scale.
Yeah.
We had this conversation and I said, if we focus on that aspect, they're able to say there isn't a problem.
That's a fact.
And I think that's what this is going to end up being. With this situation, they have the ability to say, see, there's no problem with racism. There's no racism in police brutality. Everybody kills niggas. And be like, look, see, everyone kills niggas. And it's like, this is why I was saying, I wish and I said this to you years ago in private, but this is why I was saying that I wish the main focus wasn't the fact that white cops kill black people. Because I don't give a fuck who's killing me. I don't want you to kill me.
Right.
Especially when you are allowed to. The fact that these people are allowed to kill people, I don't care what they look like, who they're killing. Don't do that. And I think this is an example of why I say so. Because I've already see how this isn't getting enough publicity?
And that doesn't matter. This is what I don't get. Why see a video and you think, oh, why are people not talking about this? Like, no, this shit is another problem. Like, this is just fucked up. What happened to the dude? That's all I can think about. I'm not thinking about, oh, why LeBron ain't say shit about this, or bro, I'm not thinking about that shit. That man really lost his life to 5 niggas jumping him who his tax dollars go to on a traffic stop. And he's screaming out for his mom, and there is literally nothing he can't even defend himself. They're holding his hands. And you worried about who talking about this? Like, I think I think they just want to be controversial because that shit doesn't matter. Like, there's a bigger problem here than why people aren't talking about this. Like, and I was reading comments like that, and that shit was just irritating me, bro. That shit made me want to get off the internet, bro, because I was never the type to at somebody over a political statement or something like that. But shit like that video bothered me last night, bro. That shit really did.
No, I feel you, bro. I feel you, and I agree.
And it's made me think, like, we can't fix this problem, but I want to know what I can do to make the problem better. Because I just don't believe, I know this is a bad mindset to have, but I don't believe you can get rid of all the bad cops. You just can't.
Oh, are you saying what you can do, like, in a world where you had all the power, or if you got enough people? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I thought you meant what you could do today, like what Darian could do today.
Both.
You're okay. I don't know what Darian can do today. I don't know. Unless you became one of those activists that literally made their life's mission tweeting and basically, and look, man, it takes a lot. I was thinking about this with, the lady that I've brought up before. It must cost her so much because all she does, man, is tweet out and Instagram things about what feels like tragedy, man.
That's exactly what it is.
No, obviously this one is. What I'm saying is, this isn't just when people die. Like, she's digging into tragedy every day. Like, she has at least 6 posts a day, and everything's bothering her, And I'm not saying that there isn't, bro. We could all easily be bothered every day,
right?
We could all easily deal with the same reality that she's dealing with. I'm just saying, I don't think I want that. I want change, and I do realize that is a catalyst for change. I just don't know if I'm not willing to be that. But also, if you want to talk about what we could all do, reform is necessary. Reform is necessary. The way that this shit works is cops get away with shit. Like that, cops are allowed to do things that are against the law.
Mm-hmm.
That just can't be the case. Cops can't be getting away with shit. Because even though these cops didn't get away with it, the reason they did it is because they were certain they were going to get away with it. There was a chance they got away with it. These people can't be thinking that. These people can't go into their jobs thinking, I might kill somebody today. I'll be justified. I'll get off. It's warranted. They can't, like, you can't go into it with that.
And I know it's a mindset. Like, I think all these cops who do things like this have a certain type of mindset. And it's like that. I know you can see it in early stages, like when you know power is going to go to someone's head. They should not be cops, man. Like, I just don't see how they could have done that to someone, man. That's some evil ass shit that they did, bro.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
watching that video, that shit was evil. And if you feel unsafe in this world, you're supposed to call 911. And that man could not call no one but his mom. He couldn't call no one but his mom, bro. Like, there was cops there. Like, four or five of them?
I don't know.
At least five of them. I know it's like five of them in jail. Like, so what you gonna do? Ask for a supervisor, not get out the car?
Exactly.
Like, there was nothing he could have did different.
There's nothing you can do. And that's the problem. This is exactly what I'm saying, man. This is exactly what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what you look like. These people, they have the power. They have all the power. The problem is that they have all the power to get away with it. You can't give somebody the power to get away with it. You can't give somebody that. It has to be serious. It has to be serious regardless of your status. Killing somebody has to be serious. Killing somebody who didn't deserve it has to be a crime, regardless of what your status is in the world. Like, these people, they get away, like, it literally, the law literally says that they can kill you even though you didn't deserve it if they were scared.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't deserve it, but you looked like you might deserve it.
Crazy.
So you can die.
And
that is, to me, bro, that is the problem. Not a problem. That's the problem with police. The fact that they are allowed to do illegal things up to and including killing people who don't deserve it and it be legal for them. That's the biggest problem.
Now, the counter argument on that, I kind of understand. Like, these cops get caught to dangerous situations almost all the time. Granted, they sign up for that. Like, they fully sign up. You're aware of that. So they definitely always have to be on guard. So if this is about to sound so crazy, depending on the circumstance, if they had to kill someone, I just hope that is justified. But there's no way you can justify what just happened to Tyre Nichols. You can't just, it's a traffic stop. There's multiple of you guys. He didn't have a weapon. So now I can see if you shot someone during a traffic stop, they pulled out a gun. Justified. I get that. Like, your life over theirs. I fully get that. But when it just comes to because you're scared, you got to figure out what the fuck scares your employee now. Because if I'm scared of a kid, they'll look at me crazy for shooting a kid. Like, there has to be some type of common ground there. Not just based off the situation or scenario or whatever. So do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you're right. I think everyone would be right. Everyone who says this is right. Everyone who thinks this but doesn't say it because they're afraid to be controversial in this way, you're also right to think so. There are situations where force is necessary. There are situations where I gotta say, I'd be happy to have someone who is trained to act in high pressure situations in a situation where you might have to shoot someone. I'm happy to say that if I had more trust in police officers, I love the idea of a police officer coming over in a life or death situation and being able to take care of a threat for me or for my family. I completely agree with that. I just think that when you give someone that power, after you have taught them that their fear is a safety net, you make them a monster. And I don't, and the idea that all cops, that doesn't apply to all cops is one that I very much disagree with. And I'm not saying all cops have killed people. I'm not saying all cops have acted in a blatantly immoral way. What I'm saying is that the idea that you can do illegal things, that you can do something that you would be justified in ruining someone else's life for. When I say that, I mean arresting, detaining, like showing force against. Like, all of these things could potentially ruin someone's life, put them in jail, imprison them. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, all of these things that these cops could do to someone to ruin this other person's life. These cops could do the same thing
and get away with it. Either because of status or because of fear. When you teach them that, every single one of them makes decisions on a different level than all of us get to. Yeah.
And I do not think that that's warranted. I don't think that comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm. I really want you to think about this question I'm about to ask you. Does a cop's life matter more than someone who's doing something illegal or whatever?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Okay. So when it comes to life or death, when it comes to speaking from like a police force standpoint, do you try to protect that cop's life more than the criminal or whatever, the citizen? So whose life do you protect first? And I ask you that because a cop, again, they are here during the most stressful situations, is a cop. That's the reason for their cause. So when it comes to life you have to save, is it the citizen or the cop?
Can you ask more specifically?
Okay, so if one had to die, not saying both, does the cop come first or the citizen?
You need to ask more specifically. Is the citizen trying to kill the cop? What do you, like, there has to be...
They're breaking the law.
Who's breaking the law?
The citizen.
Okay.
And someone called, like a robbery. There's no weapon at all. He may have one. We don't see one. But if a cop feels threatened, a guy is robbing a place, you'll know what the fuck he'll do next. Whose life matters more in this moment? That the robber or the cop?
I love this question now. Because I think this is the conversation that happens in a lot of Americans' heads when they see that there's a struggle between a cop and a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
I love this question because the answer is no one's life's in danger. That's the answer here.
You don't know that, though.
You did not specify that. If you don't know that, assuming that someone's life is in danger, put someone's life in danger.
So as a cop, if you come to a scene, someone's broken into my house, you have to assume like this is a dangerous situation. Would you agree?
Agreed.
So I think every cop should go there with the mindset, this could be my last call.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And if you go with that mindset, should you move on that?
Why would you move on that?
Because this could be my last call. I don't want it to be my last call.
Okay, so I want to make, and I know people get annoyed with my analogies, but it's the best way that I can.
Uh-huh.
It's the best way that I can express these things and make these arguments. Every time you get in your car, it could be your last ride.
Correct.
That doesn't mean that you drive terrified.
Fact. Oh, great point. That's a great point.
Every time you go to the store, that bitch could be shot up. That don't mean you don't go to the milk section. Yes, it's possible that this is their last call. Yes. You do a dangerous thing, bruv.
And that's what you signed up.
Yes, it's possible that this could be your last call. That's a great point. But guess what? It ain't until it is, huh?
And
you can't be out here shooting people until it looks like it's going to be your last call. And the thing is, everyone else in the world
have to move.
We have to move as if our fear does not stop us from being punished.
Yeah.
I was so scared that this was going to be my last time in the car. That don't mean I can drive 100.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of y'all on the road. I think like only 15% of people can actually drive. I get in my car and I'm trying to get to my destination so fast that I'm not affected by y'all's bad driving. That doesn't make it legal to drive 100 miles per hour. My fear does not stop me from being responsible for being wrong about my fear.
So
everyone has the responsibility to act on their fears appropriately to the situation. Everyone does. In Ohio, if someone breaks into your house and you have a weapon that you are legally allowed to own, you have to get out. You have to get out of your house.
Oh, yeah, you can't do warnings. It's crazy.
You have to get out of your house, bro. You have to at least attempt to leave your home.
Yeah, and police do not have to do that.
Their fears are carte blanche.
So you don't agree with the better safe than sorry?
What do you mean?
Better safe than sorry. Like, I'll kill you before you even have the option to kill me.
No. What? Because has that ever stopped us from being sorry? Look at this. Look at what we're talking about.
Yeah. So, whoa. So because this just popped in my head. Let me know if this is a reach. All right. Let me know if this is a reach. Do you remember that school shooting last year when the cops took like 17 minutes?
Uvalde.
Yeah. Took 17 minutes to get in.
Of course.
They didn't act on their fear.
Yeah.
That was a problem.
I think that's exactly what they acted on. And did any of them go to prison? You see what I'm saying?
No, but wait. We seen a nigga get killed over a traffic stop. They know there's an active shooter. You would want them to react like this is a traffic. It's crazy, but this is a traffic stop, right? Go in there and handle the problem.
That's what I want them to do.
And they didn't, right?
Exactly. But that's because they were scared. It's because their fear.
Yeah, you're right.
Their fear kept them out of there.
And that's why definitely people should be charged for that.
This is what I'm saying.
Definitely been charged for that.
You hear what I'm saying now.
Facts. Wow.
Their fear is actually, like, they are told that their fear is a factor here. Your fear is a factor in whether you are right or wrong.
Wow.
You are right to kill that guy because you were scared. Huh?
Crazy.
My fear ain't. You know how many times I've been on the street thinking that somebody might be down to do something? Does that mean I can stab them?
They would call you paranoid.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's the point exactly. That's exactly the point. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you have an entire army of men walking around in stressful situations, knowing that if they get stressed out, they're allowed to murder people? What do you think is going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to murder people. And then they're going to get away with it. And then they're going to start divides in the country because there are going to be people who see they're getting away with killing people that they don't like. They're getting away with killing people that they have preconceived notions about. And then we're going to focus on that And the people who feel like they could be blamed for having the same types of preconceived notions, they're going to get all defensive. They're going to be like, oh, no, see, it's not that. No, all lives matter. And we're going to get so focused on the wrong thing that niggas is always going to keep fucking dying.
Yeah.
People out here still dying.
And people was calling them 5 officers coons because there was like, there's no way you can love your job that much to pick up on so they say, a white man habit. And that's the problem, right?
Facts.
Because it's not a white man's habit. It's the abuse of power habit.
Now, look, I am completely open to, because, you know, what did you call them before? Pro-black? Is that who you were calling the Hotep niggas?
Oh, yeah.
Pro-black? Okay.
Yeah, pro-black.
I buy this, the pro-black movement's argument that these are white supremacist behaviors. I buy that. I buy that that is a holdover from, like, basically colonialism. They are allowed to kill whoever they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we got this land. Like, they are allowed to kill whoever they want. They can kill whoever they want. That is, they get away with it as long as it fits their agenda. And in policing, even if you're black and you're killing people who don't completely submit to the power of policing, you are still abiding by that agenda. But it really, like I said before, it doesn't matter who's doing it. Right. It doesn't matter who's doing it. It doesn't matter who they're doing it for. It matters that they're allowed to. That the thing that kills me the most is that they're allowed to. The fact that it's a I don't want to call it a white organization, but like it's a white supremacist like background. Mm-hmm. The fact that the police force is a white supremacist background doesn't make me feel any worse about it necessarily, because that doesn't necessarily matter to me. At least it doesn't matter to me as much as the fact that the people of this cloth can kill at will.
Yeah.
Honestly, it infuriates me that they can break the law at will, but the fact that it doesn't even stop at killing, oh,
they're shady, man.
Shady. And to be as fair as possible here, those cops are in jail.
Yes.
So they don't always get away with it.
But again, that's not enough. Like, this is about to sound crazy. Them getting consequences for this should not be the end of it. Making sure this doesn't happen again should be the goal here. And I don't think that's really ever the goal. It's just they just want to put people behind bars who do this publicly.
That's a solid point. Because there are definitely things that could go into effect to quell the possibility of this happening in the future.
Right. Like school shootings, they start banning ARs. Like cause and effect. Like that's what they're doing. But what new? Well, I have heard of a new law, but it's only on your property. You can shoot police officers who come on your property without a warrant.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like something you just made up.
Yeah, it sound crazy. I thought it was so fucking fire. I'm gonna send you the link. But yeah, so I feel like that's a great start right there.
That's a start.
And I feel like it's evil on my part because all I want them to have is just a taste of their medicine.
Yeah, to me, that doesn't sound like a great idea. A taste of their own medicine, to me, sounds like an impending war.
Right. I know it's going to cause a bigger problem. But I just think this my upset side speaking.
No, that makes sense. No, that makes all the sense in the world.
I'm open. I know that. Like
that makes all the sense in the world. But I think for me, as much as I am angered by the problem that we see, I'm angered so much more by the fact that we don't take the clear steps to make it better. Qualified immunity is still very much a thing. You know what that is, right?
no.
They are immune from the law if a quote unquote reasonable officer would have made the same mistake. Basically, and the shout out to the audit on YouTube. I learn a lot from them. And I actually learned this from that channel. I was watching one where a dude he purchased a car from the lot that had yellow headlights. Yellow headlights are against the law sometimes. This cop pulled him over and told him for sure he's doing something against the law. He said, "For sure I'm not. I've been to the court here where you police. I have the court findings that it's completely okay." And the cop was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The cop is allowed to just be wrong. Like the cop ticketed him and everything. And that's fine. Like he wasn't able to, what did they say? The cop ticketed him for something that he didn't do. And the cop can't be held accountable for that because a reasonable cop would have made that mistake. And it's like, isn't it crazy how they always tell us that ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but it is for the people who enforce the law?
Yeah, crazy. And
what?
I love watching videos of citizens bashing cops who don't know the law. Like it's kind of antagonizing, but I think they're doing the Lord's work there.
No, and I agree. The only thing that I hate is that it doesn't fucking matter. Like you can be right as fuck in front of them, and it really doesn't matter. Like it doesn't cost them anything for you to be right as fuck right then. Unless they do harm to you and you have proof. Like you have to have so much proof. They don't have any standard of being correct.
And honestly, if you have the proof, you just win a settlement. That doesn't even come from them.
And man, and this is something, all right. I'm glad you brought that up too. The biggest chance for change is you take them to court and win. That's how the laws change around here. Is you take the police to court, or the city of whatever the fuck, versus whoever. Like Terry versus Ohio is one that's very common because it basically makes Ohio a stop and identify state. You have the best chance of inciting change by taking them to court, right?
Wow.
But let's say you have a legit case. Let's say you have a legit case against the Akron PD, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they offer you $500K. You gonna take them to court?
Fuck. Wow. No, I am not.
Me neither.
Wow.
Me neither.
Greedy Akron niggas.
Greedy ass Akron niggas.
Fuck.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, that's so disgusting.
But what can you do? That's life-changing money, bro.
Especially when you know how our history works. There's always a law that comes from like such and such versus the state of Georgia.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
Exactly.
Like from the beginning of time. Like it's always been like that. And I never even put two and two together.
Right.
Like that is the solution. The
That's
solution
how.
been here the whole time.
Yes.
But again, when you normally happens to people with nothing.
Bro, I got nothing.
Wow.
What are you like? Yeah, I'm gonna take this $500K. That's life-changing money. Because this is the thing. Your life has already been affected by the incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to court, what you're going to court for is the opportunity to change the lives of the people in the future that may fall into the same interaction. But when you take that settlement, your life is changed for the better immediately.
Selfish.
And people pick that. And bro, I can't say I blame them.
Right. Like, you owe me for this. I agree. But morally, ain't that kind of wrong?
No. I wouldn't say that it's immoral, but I would definitely say that, so there's a difference between moral oughts and moral virtues. So a moral ought is what you should do if you want to be moral. Like, in order to be moral, you should do this. A moral virtue is you could be more moral if you did this. Like, you get moral points for doing this. It's like risking your life to save someone. You don't have to do that. Right? You don't have to risk your life to save someone.
But you're definitely a superhero if you do.
But you're exactly. You get the points if you do. You're a moral bad guy if you kick somebody into issue, right? You're morally a bad guy if you put someone in danger.
Wow.
So that's the difference. I think that you definitely gain the moral points. You put on a moral cape if you take them to court.
Why don't both happen?
What do you mean?
You think there's like a contract of we don't speak on this?
The reason that both don't happen, and you know what though? Maybe it could. Like, I think it's possible that you go to court and you win and they have to pay you reparations or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or restitution.
Restitution.
Yeah.
You so pro-black. You said reparations.
You feel me? You feel me? Nah. But I think it's possible. I don't think it's impossible that you can get restitution and also get a case on the books for precedence. But I think the chances of winning and having your life changed monetarily is not only do you have low chances, but it's going to take so long.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the system is set up this way. The system is set up so that, they don't lose. But even when they do lose, it's going to take so fucking long. It's going to take so long. I feel like you have lower chances of getting paid out by a police department or a city than if you were to get, robbed by someone, like wronged by a regular person that you take to civil court.
Yep. You better off just not taking it, honestly.
Exactly. But at the same time, you kind of, like you said, it's the moral virtue to take the city to court.
And then also, when knowing change can come, I think there's a lot of scandals and scams. And what I mean by that is like the BLM. Like the founder of that was using funds to buy $1 million houses.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
I hate that.
I'm not going to lie to you. It was at least 3 years into the Black Lives Matter movement.
That you uninterested too?
No, it was like 3 years in before I found out that there was an organization named Black Lives Matter. I didn't know that. I thought it was just the movement. That's one of the reasons that I could never understand when people were talking about founders and shit. I'm like, what do you bitch, it's Twitter.
Bro,
I'm like, what are you talking about?
And then people who donate to them type of causes.
Bro, man, I wish you didn't feel this way.
Bro, me too.
I wish you didn't feel this way.
Like,
people are trying. They're trying, man. They're trying. And honestly, it amazes me that this ever comes up, really. It amazes me. Just because, who gives a shit? Sure, the organization is corrupt. Sure. Who gives a fuck? They are not the movement.
So for me, I only care because when there's something genuine out there, it makes it hard for people to trust.
What do you mean?
So, like, let's say they take this recent one to the courts, all right, and they create some type of movement or whatever. It will be hard for me to support that, not knowing if the foundation is real. Like, if your goal is just to get money out of us, like, you're not really for us, bro. That shit is corny as fuck.
Huh?
So,
bro, I don't care about the organization. I do not care about the organization at all. Like, bro, imagine you find out that the Feed the Homeless Corporation that you've been giving money to, the nonprofit organization you've been giving money to for Feed the Homeless, has been stealing more money than you thought they were. Okay? Imagine you find that out. That don't mean that you don't care that the homeless eat.
That's a fact. But now it's going to be hard for me to trust the next homeless shelter.
Bro, what the fuck does that matter?
Because
this is what I'm saying.
Trying to help.
This is what I'm saying. That doesn't matter. Find a different way to help them. Like if you think the only way you can help your cause is by throwing money at a nonprofit organization, you're mistaken.
Facts.
Like if you think the only way that you could feed the homeless is to literally give money to a organization that feeds the homeless, you're insane. There's homeless people everywhere. Feed them. Like, what are we talking about? Like, Black Lives Matter. Behave like it. It doesn't fucking matter if you're giving money to the bankrupt organization. Who cares?
Facts.
Like, find different ways to do it. And this is why I say, like, how can it matter this much? Because you can't tell me, like, let's say that your decided way to support these movements is to give money to nonprofit organizations. Find another one. But, like, find the ones that best align with you. And sure, your ability to trust them is going to wane after so many of them you find out are corrupt. What does that mean? That, like, you care less now? That's ridiculous.
But something like the BLM org, it can give the whole movement a bad rep.
Only because people think like this. Stop thinking like this. Like, do you hear yourself right now? You sound like one of the racist white people who say, yeah, man, my granddad got robbed one time by a black guy. So the fuck what? So what? You hear yourself? Yeah. Do you hear that now?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's definitely
has nothing to do with the movement. The movement is still just as true as it was before you found out this one guy was stealing shit.
That's a fact. Yeah, fuck BLM and the Red Cross. You're right.
No, Black Lives Matter, man.
That's a fact. So, do you think does Savon's life change after what just happened in Memphis? Even a little bit, or
no? I think there will be more arguments to have than usual. I think people will expect a different reaction to this than all the other times, and I don't have that. I don't have that for you. I really don't. Except in the cases where the cops didn't go to jail, or it was up in the air whether they were going to get punished at all. I think my attitude is different for that fact. I'm happy that it's not whatsoever in question whether they will be held accountable in any way. That disappoints me slightly, though, just because it seems like it's real easy to tell when a black person does wrong. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's real easy for these police departments to tell when their black cops act out.
And not saying like this wasn't easy, okay? But this is not the normal protocol they follow. First, you got to get
administrative leave.
Yep, and it's still paid.
Yep.
Then people get upset about that. Then you take away the pay.
Right.
then get indicted or whatever.
Yep.
Like that's the normal process.
Yep.
Not put these niggas in jail like.
And I want to make it clear that I don't think that there isn't an argument for how blatant this one was.
Facts.
I can't say that there isn't an argument for that. Like, okay, there isn't too much that you could possibly say that could make this seem like it made sense. But what I will say is that this ain't the first one where I feel that way. This ain't the first one where I feel that there's an argument that this is so clear that we could make this pretty lickety split. We could get them on out of here right now.
Yeah.
But that don't always happen.
Facts.
That don't always happen. And this is where I say that I don't want to associate a racial aspect to this too strongly. I think it's weird. I think it's worth acknowledging. I think it's worth saying, damn, they put them niggas away quick. I think that's worth saying.
I need you to understand. They had them in jail before they released the body cam footage.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. I think that's worth acknowledging. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I don't think it's worth acknowledging. What I'm saying is I don't want to tie that. I don't want to tie that to
the race
too tightly to it.
Yeah.
I don't want to tie that too tightly to it just because, again, all it takes for that to be an argument, for this to be a volley back and forth for who knows how long, all that takes is nuh-uh.
Yeah. And what I hate also, though, they did the right thing by putting them in jail immediately, right?
Yep.
But it still feels wrong that they did that immediately. And I just can't help, like you said, because they're black.
Right. And so the reason that I said the reason that I said not to tie that too tightly, again, worth acknowledging. Let's talk about it, me and you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's talk about it, me and you. But on our platform and for the long conversation, I think it's very important to leave that as a secondary, maybe even tertiary problem, because all it takes to refute that is, nuh-uh.
They did this here.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
but what cannot be refuted, the thing that we should be focused on for the next 50 years or more, is the fact that they were so confident. They were so confident that what they were doing was okay, was that they knew for a fact that they were being recorded. They knew for a fact that the authorities would see what they were doing, and they did it still.
Did it still, bro.
And they did it still. Doesn't that tell y'all anything about the mentality of a police officer?
Yeah.
Doesn't that tell you anything? The fact that they can beat the fuck out of a guy.
Knowing people are watching.
2 people holding his arms, yelling, "Give me your hand," and one dude literally stepping into a punch on his head. Like, are you kidding me? He knew for sure that someone was going to see this that could put him in jail. Mm-hmm. And he was so certain that what he was doing was fine that he continued. Dog, I know some real heartless motherfuckers.
But not that. No.
I know some real heartless motherfuckers. I really do. If you got a phone out, they're going to act differently. I'm dead serious. I know some heartless motherfuckers who would have straightened up, who would have saved that for later. And these police officers do this when they know it's a camera on them.
Yeah.
That is the problem. That is the thing that, how do you refute that? How do you refute what I just said? You try nuh-uh. Try it. Try nuh-uh with that. That shit don't fly.
It don't. It was blatant wrong, bro.
We know what the problem is. We know what the problem is, and don't let them distract you, dog. Don't let them distract you, and don't take this as me said. Don't take me saying that as saying that racism is a distraction as a whole. Don't take that as me saying that racism doesn't need to be addressed. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when it comes to this, the way to induce the change that we fucking need right now, pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Pay attention to what the problem is here.
Yeah, this case helped me realize I'm not numb to this shit. I thought I was, bro. Like, damn, another one. But this one made me realize I'm not numb. Like, I don't want to be affected by this, but I am. But I feel like I also should be affected by this.
Absolutely.
So it's like,
yeah, I think you might be you might be broken if you're not affected by this one. I feel similarly across the board. Just watching people die, it really fucks me up. Watching people die at all, it just fucks me up. I don't care if they're bad people, good people. The idea that there's, when I say, okay, I should say, I don't care if they're bad people, innocent people. The fact that there's most likely someone who loves them and wishes they weren't dying. Like, knowing that someone is going to grieve them, I'm very empathetic to that. Like, watching someone lose their life and knowing that there's someone that is going to have the hardest time of their life because of this. Like, I'm super empathetic to that. So watching people die fucks me up. But watching people get murdered by people that are supposed to protect them, man, there's something special about that one. It's something specifically painful.
You literally cannot let your guard down against them.
That's a fact.
And then you can't have it up because you're seen as a threat.
Yeah, man. And look,
it's a lose-lose.
It's crazy because every single time I interact with a cop, I think about this.
You have to.
Every single time.
You have to, bro. You're privileged if you don't.
Real quick, I want to talk about the last time I interacted with a police officer. So we were all at dinner. It was 21 of us at dinner, and we got pretty exceptionally poor service that day. And when the check came out, now I'm overly opinionated about tipping. I mean, I have an hour on tipping, but like, we will have an episode of the Overly Opinionated podcast about tipping. But if they were to put an automatic gratuity, I would have paid it and shut the fuck up. They didn't deserve 20%.
In the contract you're speaking of, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't deserve 20%, but I would have paid it and shut the fuck up if it was an automatic gratuity. But in the contract that I had to sign to book a large party, there was nothing about a tip being automatically included or about there being a minimum tip allowed. And because they gave such poor service, I was like, okay, I will choose my tip. The manager comes out and she's telling me that they will apply a 20% tip because it was recommended in the contract. And it was recommended in the contract, but they could recommend that I give them $500,000 in the contract. That does not mean that I'm obligated to give them that.
Facts.
So when she says that, I'm like, whoa.
Show me how the contract.
Why would you be applying a 20% tip? And she said, well, you agreed to it. And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna need to see that one. I don't remember that. She looks for it. She doesn't find it because it wasn't there. And she said, well, what would you like to tip out your server? And I was like, is it a choice? Just a moment ago, she was stating that it wasn't a choice. I didn't have an option.
Mm-hmm.
She gets angry. She closes the agreement and she walks off. The next time I see her, she has a police officer with her. Now, I have some of my closest people with me. The temperaments vary. To put it kindly, temperaments vary.
There was niggas in there.
Yeah.
And it was, no, I don't think you peeped. Because I was there, y'all. Nah. The cop, for some reason, black people's switch flipped. Like, no, this bitch didn't. And it was all eyes on you. Oh, no, we have a problem. Notice, a crowd formed.
Oh, yeah.
Soon as we seen a police officer.
Oh, yeah.
So a switch was flipped.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, oh, yeah, it's go time now. Like, for some reason, I don't know why. I know why it triggered us, because it was not justified. So I'm going to let you finish, but I want you to know the black switch flipped as soon as the cop walked in.
I'm well aware. And that's one of the reasons, because when she came back, I was hugging my loved ones, saying goodbye because people were getting ready to leave. And I'm giving a hug, and she says, and I only see her at this point. She says, do you have a second to figure out your check? And I said, yeah. Not right now, though. I'm hugging my family. I give one other person a hug, and right at the end of that hug, didn't even get to say bye, just right at the end of the hug, she taps my shoulder and she says, come on, we're not waiting. And she drags her finger at me as if to say, come here. She says, we're not waiting. Come on.
I didn't see that.
I'm hot.
Wow.
Bro, I'm on fire. This whole time, I have been the calmest guy. I'm talking about.
No, I was the calmest guy there.
You think so?
Easily.
Bro, are you serious?
Yeah.
You being serious right now?
I was the calmest guy there. Notice, I didn't get up my seat. Notice, I did not get up my seat.
Bro,
I had to be the calmest. There's no way I can stand next to you. And then the cop.
Sure. I agree. I was so calm, though. I was chilling.
Definitely.
I was chilling.
Yep, definitely.
But she pissed me off bad. And my first instinct was to completely ignore her. So I did. One of my favorite things to do when someone tries to wield authority that they don't have is to ignore them. To let them know that your authority means nothing to me. So I go to ignore her, and less than a second later, I see a rather large cop come in, and I'm like, oh, shit. This just turned into something different.
What?
Oh, shit, this turned into something different.
What did you need, ma'am?
I said, oh, you mean come here? Nah. I immediately knew that I had to keep it extra chill. Because like you said, I got some niggas with me. And I had a couple people there that were willing to turn that into what the fuck ever. And that's a dangerous situation to be in.
With a cop.
Once somebody gets hype here, this turns into a zoo. If this gets hype here, this might, like, I can't guarantee that people leave unzapped and unshot. I can't guarantee that once this gets hype. So I had to keep it mad calm, real chill. Let them know, like,
this ain't that.
Nah, it's not that. It ain't gonna be that though. Man, the fear that I had being that I've been told that I'm not a physically imposing figure, as well as I have a deep voice, man.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage in de-escalating. I'm a rather large individual with a booming voice. Anything that I say above a whisper could be taken as a threat. So it cost me a bit of energy to try to keep calm and to make sure everyone behind me was calm. So I had to separate myself and the cop from the party because who knows what that would have been. But the reason that I bring it up is because the fear was so strong that as I signed this check, I'm shaking, bro, like literally shaking, because I'm not convinced that he's convinced that I'm not a threat.
Right.
And as soon as he considers me a threat, this night that is a top 5 night of my life turns into one of the worst nights of my life. And it's not even just me that he has to consider a threat. There's one of him. There's 21 of us. And at least 5 of us are threatening individuals. There are 2 of us that are yelling. there's 2 of us. There's 2 of us that are, there's 3 of us that are yelling, which could be threatening. And then there's 3 of us that look like we would need to be subdued with a weapon. And with that in my head, I'm just like the feeling the feeling that my life was in danger was almost as high as it had ever been. I've had a gun drawn on me before, and that was the only time that was more threatening. But other than the fact that that guy had a badge on, there was no physical indication that I was in danger. With no physical indication that I was in danger, this is the most threatened I've ever felt. And all I did was ask to not be robbed. Like, you can't steal my tip from me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Like, all I did was say, why would you apply that tip? That's literally it. I wasn't given the opportunity to pay the bill. I just asked, why would you apply the tip? And just his presence was so threatening.
Yeah. And you got banned.
Oh, yeah, I did get banned, yeah.
No longer allowed at your favorite restaurant.
Crazy. But the reason I bring it up is to say that the fear that we have interacting with them, knowing that if they just felt this way, like if they feel similarly to me, because I'm scared for my life, literally, talking to this man, explaining to him with as few hand gestures as I can muster, because I don't want to move around too much. I don't want to put my hands in my pockets type shit.
Yeah.
Explaining to this man that I'm not trying to dine and dash. Sir, I'm not trying to dine and dash. If he feels
threatened in the slightest
if he
bit.
feels the same way that I feel right now, he's allowed to kill me.
Legally.
He's allowed to kill me and some of these people that I love behind me that would not allow him to kill me. And that makes navigating this country with the state of policing the way that it is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it terrifying.
And what's so crazy about that is you did nothing wrong. You can die for doing nothing wrong.
Should have been so scary, nigga.
What?
Should have been so scary. So we need to hear your opinion on this. We need to hear how you feel about policing. We need to hear how short-sighted we are in what ways, because that genuinely makes us better. We don't have this podcast to say that all of our thoughts are correct. Well, Darian probably thinks that, but I don't have this podcast to say that all of my thoughts are correct and they could not be improved upon. I have these conversations because I want them to be improved upon. I want everyone who listens and everyone who takes part in this podcast to end up a little bit better, because their perspective has been challenged and shaped by the sharpening metal of someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
So please give your perspective on these touchy topics. Trust us. There is no judgment coming from us. Think about it. We sit here for an hour and record ourselves talking about anything.
Literally anything.
Talking about anything and exposing ourselves to whoever is willing to lend an ear. So our judgment is nil. Please share your opinions. Be overly opinionated with us. Stay on this journey with us.
And then if we didn't touch on something you feel like we should have reached on in this episode, share it.
Absolutely.
We'll have that conversation with you.
Please. And give us some leeway with the audio if it's not up to your standard, or if it doesn't sound as perfect as it used to. We are working on it. It'll get better. We promise. In every way, in every aspect, this podcast will get better.
For sure.
Hit us up at the Overly Opinionated Podcast on Instagram. Hit us up at the OO Pod Boys on Twitter. And for all the geezers out there, the Overly Opinionated Pod at gmail.com. And we will see y'all next Wednesday.
Be safe.